Marcus, Parsons has been candid, critical at times of Dallas all season. Knowing what you know about how that franchise operates, do you like what he's saying here?
Yeah, I like what he's saying because he's telling the truth. Like, we all watching it, too. We all see it. That's why we got all these high-definition cameras and 4K and all of that, because all of us can watch it any kind of way. We can stream it. We can watch it on TV. We can watch it on a phone or an iPad. We can watch it with somebody else having a good time. We can watch it solo like I did last night and get depressed. That's what happened. So Micah is just expressing what everybody else is feeling about the Dallas Cowboys. There is nothing dominant about the team, which is what bothers me. People going to talk about the defense. Let me give Mozzie Smith a shout-out, too, because I got on him yesterday, Phil Murphy. You don't know anything about that. I got on him. He played well against the New York Giants, was in the backfield, made some plays. He showed up in that game. But ultimately, trying to find something that this team is dominant at, and when you can't, is why I came away depressed, Dio.
I was going to say the kicker is dominant, Marcus, but he actually missed a kick. I think he's still dominant, but he actually missed a kick. Dan and I went back and forth about that one. Look, if you're the Dallas Cowboys and you're wondering what to take away from that game, what you can build on, because a win is a win in the National Football League, I do think there were some encouraging things in run defense. Marcus, you alluded to Mozzie Smith. I honestly thought he had the best game of his entire career. He was shedding blocks, getting into the backfield, and you see how helpful it is to the entire run defense when your nose tackle can be counted on to handle double teams and control gaps and not get pushed around because the linebackers are flying around. Suddenly everyone's playing a little bit freer. DeMarvion Overshone was the other guy who really jumped out to me, his speed and his athleticism, and he was making tackles. That's all great, but you also have to consider the fact that the Giants came into this game with the third worst rushing attack in football in success rate. So again, you don't want to diminish. Like, you got to stop bad rushing attacks to have a good run defense, and they played the team that was in front of them. But it's really for the Dallas Cowboys defense about stringing together and building upon this performance in run defense, which, to be fair, was encouraging.
Well, for context, Mina and I argue about who the best kicker in the NFL is. She takes Aubrey, I take Harrison Butker. So that when he missed that kick at the end, it made it a little interesting. We are in the worst place we could possibly be with the Dallas Cowboys because they're not bad and they're not good. They're fine. But we have to talk about them. They're as average as can be. Offensively, they're as boring as can be. Their offense right now and kind of how we talk about this football team, it's like what Marcus does with his beard and glasses, trying to make something ugly look a little bit better.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Sorry, I'm in a mood on Friday.
That's a good one.
But, think of just last night against a defense that's okay. They score a touchdown on a screen that has a flag thrown on it for holding. It's probably 50-50 if it's holding or not, and they wave the flag off. And then CeeDee's touchdown, if we're being honest, is more bad defense than good offense. It's bad coverage at the line of scrimmage. It's a bad angle by the safety. So there's not anything that I'm taking away from this game that I didn't feel going into the season or I did in the past couple weeks. The Cowboys are an average football team, and if they play below average teams or average teams like them, they got a chance. And if they don't, they're going to get handled.
And so I do that schedule, man.
Listen, Mina, I said it this morning. When people say it's a win, it's a win. It's like when you go on a date with your boyfriend and you invite your friend to come meet somebody else and they really ugly and your friend say, oh, they okay. But they being nice because you invited them on a they got it. That's what Dallas is. That's what a win is a win means in the NFL. That's the context of it. Because we all know it wasn't impressive, but we got here on this date, so we might as well enjoy ourselves.
And again, despite all that, it was a competitive game. And Daniel Jones said post-game it was fine margins and settling for field goals that actually cost this team. When New York was at Dallas's 30 or closer, they averaged just 2.4 yards per play, converting just 20% of third downs. Jones's QBR dropped to 10 in that range when they were further away, the first 70 yards of the field. They averaged more than double the yards per play. Jones had an 85 QBR. Dan, you're feeling some type of way on this Friday. Giants left some meat on the bone, it seems. What did you make of what you saw from them?
I thought Daniel Jones played well, really well. Probably one of the better games I've seen him play over the last 2 seasons, maybe 2.5 seasons. Kinley was let down by his teammates on third downs. There's a drop on a stop route to Slayton. We showed this throw before. Wan'Dale Robinson, if he catches that, he's not only going to get a first down, it's a huge chunk. And this throw to Malik Nabers, again, hopefully he's going to be okay and healthy.
Hell of a throw.
That's a great throw, and he drops it. He was amazing last night. So am I wrong to feel that way? I don't think that if we're going to sit there and say Dak Prescott played well, which he did, I felt the quarterback performance by Daniel Jones was relatively similar.
100% agree, Dio. He was efficient. He moved the ball well. They just got to the point they got stuck. You know what I would have loved to see from the Giants on a serious note?
Run.
I would have loved to see them. There you go, in the red area. They gave Dallas nothing to think about. You mentioned about how boring Dallas offense is, and I thought Daboll was doing a good job trying to find opportunities for Wan'Dale and obviously Malik Nabers. But when they got into the red zone, they became very stagnant in that area of the field. And that's when you get creative. That's when you use his athleticism. But I'm with you. I thought Daniel Jones played well. The only frustration I had was a couple underthrows, especially on the free play. Man, put that thing out there because that might have been the difference of the game. But when you look down in and down out, possession by possession, the dude was putting the ball where it needed to be. I saw him make some throws in the middle of the field. I was like, whoa,
good. Yeah.
that is what keeps you kind of hanging on. But ultimately, man, that red area cost them majorly.
The underthrows were interesting and a little bit disappointing to me because, a few years ago, for all of the ups and downs of his career, Daniel Jones actually was a very good deep ball thrower earlier in his career.
Yeah.
That doesn't really seem to be the case anymore. I wonder if it's coming off of the injuries or whatnot, but so far this season, that really just hasn't been there at all. Underneath, though, as you said, he looked good to me. He looked accurate. He looked decisive. I will say, in the same way that I said, if we're talking about the Cowboys' run defense, we got to talk about the Giants' lack of a rushing attack. I did also feel, though, watching this Giants offense, they were assisted by some, shall we call them foibles on the part of the Dallas Cowboys defense. I mean, so many of these series were extended just by terrible missed tackles in space that were, frankly, befuddling at times. And then I was impressed by the Giants' offensive line, but then I remember, wait, the Dallas pass rush is missing guys, and DeMarcus Lawrence is hurt, and Micah Parsons is hurt. So it was another one where I don't mean to damn with faint praise, but I feel like some of the efficiency of the offense was aided by the Cowboys' struggles on defense. And that kind of sums up this game as a whole, right? Like, both quarterbacks were pretty good, but both of us feel that neither of these teams quite distinguished themselves, which I guess is the NFC East right now.
Yeah, I like, honestly, the biggest takeaway from the game is twofold for me. One, Malik is amazing. Two, is he going to make it this season? I mean, they use Malik Nabers literally every play. They motion him every play. They throw to him every play. That's my, I guess, takeaway and or concern with the Giants is I know he's an amazing player, but the targets over the last 2 or 3 weeks have got to be near 40 or 50. It's a lot.
It was 37 through 3 weeks. He had 12 catches in this game, led the league in targets coming in. New on NFL Live, we have some injury update. With neither on the field, Hurts' QBR just 35. He has a 53% completion rate, thrown nearly as many picks as touchdowns. With both on the field, QBR spikes by 30 with a much better completion percentage and better touchdown to interception ratio. Not surprisingly. Marcus, if Jalen Hurts is without both main targets, we know he's at least without Smith. What do you expect from him this weekend in Tampa?
Yeah, I think Jalen is going to have to be a playmaker. I mean, we could talk about dropping back and passing the football, but obviously you just showed the graphic there with the percentages when he's missing both of his players. And who are you going to rely on? Obviously, it's going to be Saquon Barkley, more in the passing game as well, but Dallas Goedert as well. And you got to try to find somebody else that can make a couple plays for you down the stretch. But this is going to be about Jalen Hurts' legs. It's going to be about him extending plays and making sure that one and most importantly, he's taking care of the football. Todd Bowles is going to zone him. He's going to change it up. And when you bring these pressures, he needs to be able to either buy time or get the ball out of his hands quickly. So coaching staff on this offensive play calling, Kellen Moore, but more importantly, his athleticism with his legs and playmaking ability is probably going to have to come to the forefront if we talk about Philly having a chance to win this game.
24 for 141, Marcus. That's the combination of carries and then yards between Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix against this Tampa defense. Totally agree that the legs for Jaden and the designed runs, but also when they spread them out. I also think it's a different run game in Philadelphia this year. 22, it was heavy zone read, and they were dominant at it, but it wasn't a variety of it, and a little bit less last year. This year, we've seen counter. That's become a huge part of their offense. We've seen one-back power with lead, where it's almost a downhill trap. We've also seen a little bit more of a zone run game when they get into their 12 personnel. I think the discipline of doing that this week matters. I don't think that it's going to be easy to just line up and run against Tampa. It's still good whether Vita Vea plays or not, but the discipline to do it. The other element in this game that matters, watching Tampa outside play so soft coverage-wise last week against Denver, in many ways just giving completions to Bo Nix in that offense.
Giving it up, yeah.
The discipline to run it, and then the discipline for Jaden not to chase explosive plays, but to just spit it out to the flat and get your completions is really important this weekend.
Yeah, I really like what you guys said about the run game, because it really isn't the run defense that it was, a couple of years ago when we think of Tampa. And if they can get to that second level, I think there can be explosives on the ground. The other thing I want to see is the same thing, I've been wanting to see every time Jalen Hurts has gone against these Todd Bowles defenses in recent year, which has kind of been his boogeyman in the playoffs, which is, who are you throwing to when he blitzes you? Because we know he's going to blitz him, right?
Sure.
Last year, when Jalen Hurts was blitzed, over 55% of the time it went to A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith. This year, he has been much better when defenses send extra pressures, but without those two receivers, I don't quite know who is going to be the answer. Is it Dallas Goedert? Is it Saquon Barkley?
Yeah.
Because as you guys know, beating the blitz, you have to trust your brain, and you really have to trust the receiver that you're throwing to. And I think it's going to be really an important task for him and Kellen Moore to go into this game with a plan for that regard.
MK, I pray to Jesus that they will use Saquon in the screen game versus blitz. Because you need it one time. You don't need it to work every time.
That's where your explosives going to come from.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, while Hurts has been better against the blitz, hasn't been
Saquon
better.
versus those linebackers, that's a matchup I like.
Totally.
Hurts hasn't been better, though, against zone this year. 49 QBR, and Tampa runs zone on 74% of dropbacks, also fourth highest in the NFL. Looking at our game picks, Marcus, the one dissenting opinion, though we all like similar score lines. Philly, a 2-point favorite.
It's a good game
Here in Tampa. Very good.